As UFC 280 ended in Abu Dhabi, we saw a lot of interesting results. The main event focused on Charles Oliveira with an 11-win streak versus Islam Makhachev with a 10-win streak. The odds could have been in anyone's favor, but it was Islam who appeared triumphant in the end. In today's video, we talk about Dana White saying that it looks like Volkanovski is next for Islam Makhachev after UFC 280. First of all, let's take a look at Dana White's words. According to the UFC president, it seems like Islam's next opponent will be none other than Alexander Volkanovski. He was reported saying that he thinks Volkanovski is next. Dana White also went on to say that he was blown away by how quickly Makhachev got the submission out of Oliveira. If there is any truth in this, then it'll be Islam Makhachev's first ever title defense. And with the way he secured his win against Charles Oliveira, there's no doubt that he's established himself as one ferocious fighter. White likes the idea of the matchup between the top two fighters and says that it makes absolute sense for the event to happen since Volkanovski is only one weight class under Makhachev. And that's not all. Alex was the #1 choice for the backup fighter at UFC 280. Make of that what you will. Let's learn a little more about White's views regarding the fight. We've already discussed how Dana White said that he was blown away by Makhachev's performance, but he also dived deeper to provide an analysis of the match. White explained that beating Oliveira is a whole other milestone, but the way Makhachev did it was absolutely phenomenal. According to him, these are two separate victories that the victor has scored in his bag, and to be honest, we agree. You see, it wouldn't be this way if it was any other fighter, but Charles Oliveira is a different breed. He's made a reputation of himself in the league, and again, his winning streak was longer than Islam's, though it was by just one. White also expressed that he'd been saying all week that we've got the absolute best players of the league going head-to-head in their prime. If this doesn't say something about the president's passion for the game, nothing else will. White also revealed how Khabib said to him that he'd already told him what the result of the game would be. It's interesting to think how Khabib had already predicted the result of the match, but more on that later. There's something worth noting though. As much as Dana White is being vocal about the fight and hailing Makhachev as this absolute beast, we think he might have not felt that way about him prior to the fight, especially because of his comments on how he pulled a submission out of Oliveira. But you never know. Maybe he was just keeping his words to himself at first, given his role in the whole championship. Following up, how was the event overall? UFC 280 took place on the 22nd of October at the Etihad Arena in the center of Abu Dhabi. The match was highly anticipated because of the main event, which included some of the top performers from the league. As the fighters looked ahead to secure the championship, there were a few matches lined up before they could go head-to-head with each other. The event started around 2 p.m. Eastern Time, but it wasn't a couple of hours before the main event began. Before that, we had a couple of matchups, starting with the women's flyweight match. Opening the event were Caitlin Chukagian fought Manon Fiorot, but failed to gain an advantage over her, followed by Beneil Dariush versus Mateusz Gamrot in the lightweight matchup, which was won by Dariush. The last fight before the main event saw Sean O'Malley taking the victory crown away from Petr Yan in the bantamweight category. Next up, a little on the fight itself. We've come to expect a lot of back and forth from fights that involve Charles Oliveira, but that wasn't the case in this one, maybe because of the type of opponent he was facing this time. The fight began like any other fight in the octagon, but as it progressed, we saw some interesting moves, especially from Makhachev. But before that, a little on Khabib's teaching style. Khabib has said on record that he does not like smashing people's faces, probably because it gives them lifelong scars, and his overall style has involved choking the opponent and other things that avoid face-to-face combat. And as Islam's coach, he's probably teaching him the same principles. This was seen when Islam tried to execute takedowns on Charles. This resulted in him spending most of the first round in the top position, tiring Charles. But he wasn't broken yet. Trying to avoid Islam Makhachev's elbows and punches, Oliveira made it out alive in the first round, but it was the second round that brought hell upon the 11-streak holder. Makhachev spent no time jumping on top of Oliveira, holding him in an arm triangle choke. This made Charles Oliveira tap, declaring Khabib's protege the new champion. And with that, Oliveira's streak came to an end, while Islam equalized his by jumping from 10 to 11. Now the only thing left to see is if he'll be able to maintain it in his next fight, or will he have a similar fate to that of his last opponent? Did the fight live up to its expectations? That's for you to decide. Lastly, how did Volkanovski get into the equation? There have been long speculations about an eventual matchup between Volkanovski and Makhachev, but when he won the match again, Oliveira, Khabib, and Islam both decided to make it official that they were looking to fight Alexander Volkanovski. He's been hailed as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the league, topping the chart of the same. On the other hand, Islam is only in the 3rd position, so it's really close. And with Israel Adesanya looking to fight in November, we'll have to see how the rankings switch up, but the only takeaway is that it makes sense for the two fighters to fight soon because both are peaking, and the fans would love to see this. Now let's talk about Khabib Nurmagomedov sharing his predictions for the Makhachev versus Volkanovski Volkanovski matchup. First up, what has Khabib predicted for the fight? Khabib has politely told Alex that he respects him, but he's going to take his place with his champion Islam Makhachev when they both go head-to-head in the near future. If we can take anything from that, is that Khabib's previous predictions have also come true. For example, when he himself fought Conor McGregor, he famously predicted that he would smash him, and so he did. Similarly, he pressed so hard on the latest fight between Islam and Oliveira with confidence in Islam that his reaction at the end of the fight was completely justified. It's not just random trash talk that he does, but it's his confidence in his own skill set, and now in the players that he's coaching, that lets him make these very real predictions. Why does Khabib think this way? As we said, Khabib focuses on the skill set, and according to him, when it comes to experience, Islam Makhachev triumphs over Alexander Volkanovski. He explained how the fight would go, saying that Volkanovski would be receiving a lot of knees from him, and not just that, Islam would be looking to drain all his energy before he chokes him out. And that's exactly the same formula that Khabib has tried and tested time and time again in his fights. He went on to praise Alex for his boxing skills, but that's where his praise stopped. Khabib addressed Islam's over 20 years of experience in the MMA, which couldn't be handled by Volkanovski even if he trained for 6 months straight, further adding that no amount of fighting styles would aid him in winning against the new lightweight champion. And to be honest, that's a fair point. Also important to note is that both Khabib and Islam were initially trained by Khabib's dad, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and that says a lot about what kind of fighter he is and what his career's trajectory is going to look like. Lastly, what happened at the arena post-match, and how would this help boost Islam's confidence? As soon as Makhachev won the fight, Khabib wasted no minute in jumping into the octagon and raising him on his shoulders as the new champion. But what was even quicker was their switch from the current fighter to the next one. Both Islam and Khabib reiterated they're looking to fight Alexander Volkanovski. Islam even went a step further to call him the short guy and told the management to bring him onto the stage. Unsurprisingly, he was present in the arena because remember how he's the backup fighter for this match. Yeah, so Alex immediately jumped into the octagon to confront the guy, but upon the comparer's question regarding him fighting Islam in Australia, he simply said bring it on. There wasn't much else except for the fact that he shook hands with both Islam and Khabib before heading back to the audience, which made sure that both the fighters had mutual respect for each other. And that's a wrap for this video. Do you agree with Dana White and Khabib's predictions regarding Islam Makhachev's next fight? If not, what are your predictions for when he goes back into the octagon? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.